Here's your wrestling news for December 3rd, 2022, and we're kicking off today with Smackdown, and as you'd expect, Bray Wyatt proved to be a highlight of last night's show. On the show, Wyatt had some choice words in his promo, stating how technology has given us manners and how some must die so others can survive. Wyatt is clearly demonstrating a survival of the fittest mentality, adding yet another layer to his multifaceted character, which has been booked exceptionally since his return. Addressing his ongoing feud with L.A. Knight, Wyatt vowed that he didn't attack him last month, and that if he did, everybody would know about it. While Knight is a star in his own right, it's clear that he is just a stepping stone for Bray's character to build and to the eventual reveal of Uncle Howdy. When that will be, nobody knows for sure, but WWE's slow burn with Bray Wyatt is proving to work. Earlier this week, it was reported that Eric Young is on his way back to WWE after recently finishing up his time with Impact Wrestling. Young's character was quite literally killed off on Impact TV, and his return to WWE will come over 2.5 years after his April 2020 release. With Triple H now running things, there's high hopes that Young will excel this time around, and WWE already has some big plans for the former Impact World Champion. According to sources backstage, one idea would see Young reunite with Nikki Cross, as the pair were once a part of the Sanity stable in NXT. Despite impressing in the Gold brand, the group had no such luck on the main roster, but that was before Triple H was running things on Raw and SmackDown. The reported idea is for Young and Cross to reunite, and with Sawyer Fulton and Killian Dane both released, the group would include talent from NXT, but those are yet to be decided. WWE's other idea is for Young to go it alone, but to be pushed into the US title picture upon his return. The belief for this is that having yet another veteran can only help Austin Theory, who WWE wants to get as much experience ahead of the coming years. This feud would likely also see EY work with Seth Rollins in what some backstage have been calling an absolute dream match they thought would never happen. These are just two ideas being floated around backstage, but what do you think of these storylines? Let us know in the comments. More from SmackDown as Shayna Baszler dominated Emma in their match, and it took the arrival of Shotzi and Raquel Rodriguez to drive the Queen of Spades away. As Michael Cole pointed out, 3 people were needed to take out Baszler in a subtle sign of Triple H's plans for the MMA fighter. WWE is quickly building Baszler's credibility back, and it shouldn't be a surprise for those who watched her in NXT. Her partnership with Ronda Rousey is guaranteeing Baszler screen time every week, but she won't be a sidekick for long and will soon be paving her own legacy on SmackDown. SmackDown also saw another released superstar return as Tegan Nox made her comeback to aid Liv Morgan. Morgan was being decimated by damage control, only for Nox to make the save, and the Welsh superstar will now get the main roster run she never did before. Unfortunately for Nox, her return didn't exactly set the world on fire for fans, and Twitter users noticed the mild reaction for her. Others noticed that damage control was able to be taken out by one person who, in kayfabe, hasn't wrestled in over a year, in another burial of Bayley's stable. Not all responses were bad, but this return didn't match the excitement of a Karrion Kross or a Bray Wyatt. And what did you make to Tegan Nox's return to WWE? Next month, WWE will host their annual Royal Rumble match, and there's been a lot of talk about who will win the men's Royal Rumble match. For many, the obvious answer is Cody Rhodes, who is expected to be fully healed in time for the show, but another name has now entered the field. In recent reports by Dave Meltzer, it's noted that WWE is considering The Rock to win the 30-man match, ensuring his much-anticipated WrestleMania match with Roman Reigns. The Rock may be popular, but on social media, fans bashed the idea of the Brahma Bull winning the match, saying that Rock vs. Reigns doesn't need to be for the titles. Some even said that having Rock win the Royal Rumble would backfire hard, as it's not like he needs to earn a spot on the WrestleMania card, and he'd just be taking up a Rumble win from a more deserving full-time superstar. Fans haven't forgotten the fan response to Batista in 2014, as the Animal returned to win the match and earned considerable backlash, and hopefully WWE won't make the same mistake next year. Back to SmackDown as Ricochet won the SmackDown World Cup in a fun main event, not just earning a trophy, but an Intercontinental Championship match with Gunther. It was in June that Gunther dethroned Ricochet to win the title, and after being confronted by the Austrian, their title match will happen in 2 weeks. Unfortunately for Ricochet, WWE has clearly established Braun Strowman as the main threat to the Ring General, and expect a title feud between them instead. Gunther vs. Braun Strowman seems to be the ultimate goal for the Intercontinental title for late 2022, early 2023, which comes as bad news for the one and only. This week's SmackDown was a packed show, but next week's event is already coming together with the return of a WWE Hall of Famer. It has been confirmed that Kurt Angle will be on next week's SmackDown to celebrate his birthday with the WWE Universe, over 2 years since his last appearance on the Blue brand. Kurt had some of the biggest moments of his career on SmackDown, and with Drew McIntyre and Sheamus set to challenge for the undisputed WWE Tag Team titles, next week's show is looking stacked. For months, Robert Roode has been off of TV after suffering a handful of injuries that has kept him on the shelf. It was only recently that rumors sparked of his return, considering he was backstage for a few shows, but an imminent comeback doesn't seem likely anymore. On social media, Roode posted a post-neck surgery on Instagram and informed fans of the operation with a caption. Thank you to Dr. Andy Cordover and his amazing staff at Andrews Sports Medicine and St. Vincent's Hospital in Birmingham, Alabama. C5-6 fusion is complete, now the work begins, recovery and rehabilitation. Looking forward to the challenge. Plenty of wrestlers over the years have been forced to miss months due to neck fusion surgery, including Stone Cold Steve Austin, who was out for close to a year from 1999 to 2000, as well as legends like Edge and Lita. Despite an impressive run in NXT, Roode hasn't had close to the same success on the main roster, and we are wishing the Canadian a full and speedy recovery. Over to AEW as MJF has finally become a world champion, a win that fans of the All Elite company have been wanting for years. MJF's first title defense will come at Winter is Coming against Ricky Starks, a match the champ is expected to win, and we now know more about future plans for the Devil himself. In the Wrestling Observer newsletter, it's revealed that Bryan Danielson will be next in line for a program with MJF, as the report states. The idea is to build a major program with MJF versus Danielson for the title, and MJF putting Regal out as the catalyst. Whether that's the Revolution main event for 3-5 in San Francisco, which would mean it would take 4 months to get to the match, which feels way long, or they do a TV match and perhaps use that to build to a pay-per-view match, is unknown. With Revolution 4 months away, AEW may perhaps have this title match at one of their special episodes of Dynamite, or they may try and prolong the feud with other short-term feuds for both men. After MJF attacked Danielson's mentor William Regal this week, the American Dragon will be hungry for revenge, but whether that means he'll dethrone MJF as champion remains to be seen. Now, Christmas is just a few weeks away, and WWE always tries to put on a festive episode of Raw around the big day. Usually fans get to see some holiday-themed street fight complete with candy canes and festive weapons, but this year's plans remain unclear. In the Wrestling Observer newsletter, it's reported that plans are, quote, still up in the air for the December 26th Raw, as WWE will be hosting 2 shows that day, both Raw and a WWE live event inside Madison Square Garden. With WWE unsure who to book for each show, one idea being suggested is for Raw to be taped after the December 23rd SmackDown, meaning they'll have everyone they want for the MSG house show. The other idea is for Raw to be a Best of 2022 celebration episode, and given what's happened this year, there's no shortage of moments to remember. Whatever decision WWE makes, it's expected within the next few days, but Stephanie McMahon and her regime will have to make the call soon after a truly monumental year in wrestling. And we're ending today with SmackDown, as the show didn't stop once the cameras stopped rolling. In a post-show dark match, fans were treated to an 8-person tag, which saw Matt Riddle, Madcap Moss, Braun Strowman, and Liv Morgan defeat Joaquin Wilde, Cruz del Toro, and Zelina Vega of Legado del Fantasma, as well as Damian Priest. It's interesting that Priest was called in for the match, but for whatever the reason, the crowd in Buffalo had a full show and were sent home happy with a huge dark main event. That's it, guys. That's your wrestling news for today. Make sure to check out our channel for amazing wrestling content. Also, subscribe to our channel for daily wrestling news.